Hello and welcome to me, Yanu, for another video. Now, I normally do a lot of different things. You can find me on the Yanu and Little D show, Yanuine Special. I do gaming and everything. But today, I do a bit of everything, to be honest. But today, I'm going to talk about the Nissan Leaf 30 kilowatt. Now, I did a little test recently, two tests actually, to see just how far I could push this thing. And I mean, when I say push this thing, I mean literally the most economical you could drive. To get these results, I was driving ultra careful, way more careful than majority of people would do. So if I couldn't beat this target, the chances are you'll be hard pushed to beat them too. So anyway, if you stay to the end, I'll give you a little tip of how you can actually push the car even further. A lot of people will say, should you buy this car? Should you buy that car? Forget that, forget should. The point is, can you? Not should you, can you? You know, it's like me saying to you, you know, should you buy a Porsche? Well, if you ain't got the money, it's not should you, it's can you afford a Porsche? So at the end of the day, forget about what people say. You've got to go what suits you, your pocket, your situation and everything. Ignore the rest, just do your own. And this is the video for you. I got it to 100% of charge, and I wanted to push it as far as I can. On the first journey, I did up to 50 miles. That was a full round trip I need to do, and I knew on 100% battery, I mean 50 miles, I knew it was going to be pushing, because I felt to myself, the journey I need to do is around about 100 miles, and I knew that at the end of the day, getting 100 miles with the heater on and everything would be, you know, in the past impossible until I did this test. And I really wanted to see, can I actually do it? So I started off, as you can see here, I did 50 miles on my first journey, but luckily at this point I looked at it and thought, okay, I'm just over the halfway mark. It's showing I've got 74 miles left. I didn't want to look at the percentage, I just wanted to look at the miles, and I was going by the actual meter of miles per kilowatt hour. And obviously at this point I was on 4.4. This was driving ultra careful in mixed driving on the motorway, in town, in cities, and that was my first point of the journey. And at this point when I finished, it was 9 degrees. At its lowest this day I had it about 7 degrees. Now I carried on a further 14.4 miles, and I got it up to 4.5 at this point, with 63 miles showing, and you can see it's on halfway now. So I felt, you know, I was confident. I was pretty confident. At that point it was 11 degrees, it had gone up, and then by the time I got to I had literally nearly 10 miles to travel, and I had to do the last stop before my final stop, and it was on at this point 4.6. that was miles per kilowatt hour. 4.6. That was without, this is without the heater all day. I didn't have no heater on at all, and you can see I had 90.1 miles. It said I had a 30 range with 2 bars. Now I always find the range is never going to be what it is, but I really pushed this thing to the max, literally to the max. And then I ended up, it was at 8 degrees at that point. And then I finally finished my journey, 99.3 miles. I was just under the 100, but as you can see, I had 9 miles estimated on the meter, and that was 7 degrees, and that was 8% battery left. So I could have got over, I'm guessing 105 miles, and that is, I mean, that is on 4.6 miles per kilowatt. That is pretty mental. And my actual average for kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers was 15.4 at that point. I left this meter going, And then I tried to do another journey the next day at 100%. Again, it was showing I had a 130-mile range, not possible. But this time I actually had the auto heater on, so I had it set at 20 degrees for this test. However, I didn't quite manage to get the journey I wanted because it was I didn't have to do the other journey. So I'll just show you where I got to at which point, and roughly we'll gather what we had. So as you can see here, I left it at 15.4, and then I went to my first 9.8 journey miles for my first trip, and that left me with 123, bearing in mind it said 130 before, and it's on 3.9. okay, so it's down a bit on the auto, but still I was pushing this thing to the max even with the heater on, and that was at 3 degrees, so it was a lot, you know, different temperature the next day. Anyway, I got to 49.8 miles, just slightly lower than the 50. At this point I was at 4.1. I believe at that other point I was at 4.4 at this point on average. So with the 50 miles I did 4.4, and on this I was only 3 under that, 0.3 under that with the heater on, so that kept me warm, so that's pretty good. And that was at 5 degrees at that point. Then it went to 40, so okay, I showed it on there on 49.8. I thought I'd just check the percentage, and it was 48%. So I knew it was slightly under, there was no way, and you can see over here that I had 70 odd miles on the range at this point, and it was just over half. This time it was on 61 on half. So I knew it wasn't going to make that whole journey, but I still wanted to push it to the max with the heater on. So I went further. I got to 59.7 with 4.2, so I was starting to push it up even more. And that was at 6 degrees. And then it went down a bit on the final leg of my journey. You can see there it shows on the red bars as 21. And I believe before it showed 30 at this point. But obviously it's 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's still good with a heater on. That is really maxed out, and at 76.1, 7 degrees, and it showed 15.3. so I left that meter, I didn't reset it, and it just went down slightly anyway overall, and that was kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And it left me with 17%. So if we look at the final here, I couldn't do the exact final journey because I didn't need to do that final journey, which I wish I could. But obviously it didn't really matter because at the end of the day, I would not have made it. But if we just look here, I always find that at 17%, as you can see here, left, and 76. Now, bearing in mind, I had 99.3, I believe it was, miles on the full journey I did before, with apparently that 8% I believe it was left. But you know, that I'm going to take a little bit off that, and I'm going to say I would have got about 105. Maybe I'd have got more, who knows. But on this, judging by this figure, I'd say I could have hit around about 90. I'm going to say I'll take a few points off of the 17, and that would leave me about 14%. I'm just going off what I think, and I reckon I could have pushed around 90 with the heater on, and over 100 with the heater off. Now, this was driving in ultra, you know, really careful conditions here. I did not push the car to the max. I made sure I let traffic overtake me. As long as I wasn't holding anybody up, I just took it as cautiously as I could. And as I say, to do what I did, you know, if I can't better it, it's going to be hard pushed to better it unless you've got a better battery or something on your car, and you can maybe push a little bit more. But I mean, 4.6 at one point with the heater off was my absolute best score I've ever had, and that's because I drove as particular way. And I'm going to try doing more of these tests, so if you want to see more, You can subscribe and click the bell notification. However, you know, if you want this little tip I told you about how to actually improve it, at one point it hit me, right? If you want to push like maybe 130 miles plus out of a 30 kilowatt battery, it seems impossible, but there's only one way you can do it, and you just need two things in life. You need a tractor and you need patience. That's right. I was stuck behind a tractor at one point for a little bit, and I was watching the meter and I was up like 8 miles per kilowatt hour behind this tractor, and I thought to myself, do you know what, if I was stuck behind this tractor for a long journey, okay, I was doing 30 miles per hour, but do you know what, it would take me double the time to get to my destination. But stuck behind a tractor, it gives me perfect excuse to go slower on the motorway. And do you know what, 8 miles per kilowatt hour, wow, imagine the score I could get out of that if I could just have the patience to follow it that far. So guys, as I said to you, as promised, if you want to get more out of your lower kilowatt hour battery, then yes, you need two things, as I say, patience and a tractor. But other than that, if you know, what you've got to remember is this for you? Is this the type of thing you want? Do you want a car, or do you need a car that can do more miles than this? Or could this be your average everyday car if you don't travel far? Anyway guys, that's me done for another video, and as I said, I'll do other videos which are like comedy. I do the Yanu and Little D show. You know, I've done a Yanuine 1, I'm currently doing a Yanuine 2. I do gaming videos, I do a bit of these, a bit of anything, you know, bits and bobs. Anyway guys, if you're a happy person in general and you want to see me again, click the subscribe button. Remember my name, Yanu, that's who. See you later guys.